Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I will be explaining my thoughts on Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point and why this coaster is not my number one just yet. With this out of the way, let's start the video. So this video will basically be a ride review, and at the end I will say why this is not my number one coaster yet. So let's start this video. I have ridden Steel Vengeance a total of 3 times throughout my visits to Cedar Point. I rode it towards the middle twice and the front once. I know I obviously don't have the back row yet, but honestly, I love the front. Don't take my middle seat rides as being bad, but the front is just my favorite row for coasters. I know this isn't normal for an enthusiast, but I enjoy a good sense of speed. Also, throughout the video, I will be comparing this to Wildcats Revenge, because that is the only other large-scale RMC I've been on. Beginning with the layout, the ride starts out with a turn and a few small airtime hills as a pre-lift section. This is definitely a solid pre-lift. Now I wouldn't say it's as good as Wildcats Revenge, but the fact that there even is a pre-lift is pretty good. Then, you ascend the 200-foot or so lift hill, and it is loud. Probably one of the loudest, if not the loudest lift hills I've been on. Once you're at the top of the lift hill, you go down the massive 200-foot drop. I like this drop. I think the one on Wildcats Revenge is better though. Maybe because I was in the back on that ride, but I just got more airtime on the first drop there. But this is a nice vertical first drop. Then you hit a speed hill, which is alright. It gives you a little bit of airtime, but not too much. Then you hit the Holy Grail, the outer banked turn. This thing is just the best. There is so much airtime on this turn alone, it makes your short fast lane wait worth it. This is just such an amazing element that you have to experience to just feel how great it is. No, this is not glazing either, I just really like this element. After that, you hit another outer bank that isn't as good as the first one, but it's still pretty good. Lots of airtime on this element. Then you go up a small hill which gives a bit of airtime. This hill leads into the first inversion, a 0G roll. This is a solid element, just not as good as the others on this ride. Then you do a banked hill. I guess that's how you would describe it. This gives some nice airtime, but nothing all that special. Then you go into another inversion, which isn't anything special, but it is still fun. Then you have a drop right after this inversion that gives some good airtime. Then another good airtime moment, and then you're into the mid-course breaks. This gives some great airtime as well, the final hill into the mid-course. Just a great element before a mid-course. Then you have a second to breathe as you go through the mid-course. But a few seconds later, you are back at it with a great drop off the mid-course, which gives some decent floater. This is just a great wow moment. Then you head into 3 great airtime hills. They are all shaped differently, but they all give great airtime. Then you go into this inversion-like element. This is a cool element as you are inside the structure. Next up is a 0G roll, and this is again similar to the last element as it's cool, as it's inside the structure. Then you hit 3 more airtime hills. These are like the other hills. They give great airtime and they eject your butt out of the seat. By this time, your thighs do start to hurt a bit just because of how much great airtime is on this thing. Then you hit another 0G roll, and this is also very nice. It is a nice break from the airtime hills, as all of these 0G rolls are whippy on this ride. I do think these are about the same as Wildcats Revenge's 0G rolls. Then you do a bit of meandering, but it's still fun. But it is time for the grand finale, which is 5 to 6 great airtime moments. The 5 bunny hills are great, and they provide great airtime and help make your thighs hurt. There is a last half hill into the breaks, which gives you less airtime, but it is still very good. And that is Steel Vengeance. This is a great, long ride with lots of airtime. You can't go wrong with a ride like this, especially in the afternoon, evening, and night. This leads me into why this is sitting behind Twisted Timbers at number 2 in my rankings. My experience with Steve has been mostly good, but the early morning rides I had on it are much worse than my afternoon rides. Now, my morning rides were still good, but just not as good as the afternoon rides. It was not as good as King's Dominion, though. It may have been because it was hotter at King's Dominion, but I also had hot morning rides on Twisted Timbers and Steel Vengeance, and Twisted Timbers just had much better morning rides. I know this is an unpopular opinion, but I just like the elements on Twisted Timbers more, even though it's basically a scaled down Steel Vengeance. They just hit more for me. These rides are very close, because my front row afternoon ride on Steel Vengeance was elite. It was even my number one for a little bit. So don't take this as me not liking Steel Vengeance, because I do. I just wish the morning rides I had on it were a bit better. I know coasters do need to take some time to warm up though, so I guess it's not the worst thing in the world, and it's still a good ride. But anyways, that is it for my video. Am I wrong? Is Orion a hyper? Please let me know. But thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.